I'm going to show you how to use edit text and just make them a little bit more cooler. So I progressively added new stuff to each text field, and to save me rerunning the app to show the changes I've made, 1, 2, 3, 5 text fields here. So the first one here, you see you have a nice outline on it. And if I click in, the hint goes up there so I can type in some text. The next one we have like an icon. So if I click in the hint here, the name goes up like that. And I've also got this required field, which, it's some way of emphasizing if the field is required or not. It doesn't do much after that. Then the next one, you can see I've added a bit of a counter here. So if I start typing my text, you see it's going on there. And once it gets to over 20, then it starts giving me a red one, right? Now, the next field, I do the same, but I actually add this little icon here that when I click will clear the text, and also I won't let the text go further than 20. And then finally, and this one here is like a password, so I've just changed the icon to a lock icon. I'm using a different icon on the right there, which is going to show the text. So my password field, I'm typing it in, okay, and if I want to show the password. Now there's lots of other things you can do. So how did I even do these text fields? Oh, I just wanted to demonstrate something, that if you hit the test button, I still can pull the text from any of these. So I'm just showing you that I can pull it from this field here. So if I hit test there, it shows what's contained in it. Okay, now basically, first of all, just to quickly show you, I have activity screen 2 here for a second. So in order to do this particular type of text field, go to your text field section and go down to the very bottom there. And this is what you want. So it's kind of a double layer. So if I drag it over here and it eventually populates, you'll see it's actually kind of got two layouts. You've got your basically your edit text here and some sort of layout over it. All right. So the first thing I do is I kind of change the width and height. So let's say I'll make the width 250 or something, or 300. I think 250 dp. We'll try that, and we'll do 80 dp there. And then I can go along here and say, okay, I want that, I don't know, 32 to there, and up here, whatever it is, 124, leave it at that for the moment. But if you want to move it after that, sometimes you're inclined to pull this field out of it. So what I do here is if I want to move it at all, I kind of click, hold, and now I've kind of captured it the way I want it, and I can position it anywhere I like. All right. Anyway, that's just for testing purposes. So I'm just going to go back to the screen where I actually have all these guys built, and we're going to go through the code very quickly. So what I'm doing is I'm actually adding more XML code each time I go down, but just using a different text field. So if I go over here to the code, so in the first one, it's basically, this is the code that's kind of generated. I just added the widths and height and stuff like that. I gave the text field, in this case, an ID, and I changed the hint to name. So that's that name field there, okay? So if I click out there, for example, the name is there, and it's when I click in, the hint goes up to the top. That's all done by default, okay? So there's nothing else I added. That text was just generated. Like, for example, if you go here and you go to the code, this is the code. This is your edit text, and I change that word to name, and the rest is kind of generated here. All right. So back here, anyway, that was the first one. Let me just pull back up my emulator. So if you go down to the second text field, what did I add? Well, I added an icon here, and I also added a required field here. So there's my icon being added there in drawable person, and this here and this here is giving me the red with the word plus required added. Okay, so that's all I did there. If you go down to the next one here, where I'm adding the counter. So how did I do that? I'll just clear here again. I come along here, and the same as before, drawable person required the color of that. I could change it to red or blue, whatever. I said counter enabled is true, and I've added a counter max length 20, which gives me this. And just by default then, when I start typing here, it'll count for me. And when it goes over 20, it changes that to red. Okay, now in the next one, here, I clear the text here for a second, you'll notice I can type in disappears, and also I've set a cap that once I go over 20, it won't allow me to go any further. So how did I do that? I just get the code up for a second. So you can see I'm just adding more code. What I did here to get that symbol there, I just use icon edit mode clear text. That's all I did there. And I wanted to make sure it didn't go over 20. In this case, I actually went into the edit text part, which is called the text input edit text, and I said Android max length is 20. So that stopped it going over 20. And then finally, I to do the password one, so let's just pull it up first of all. In the password one, first of all, I said the input type for the password field is text password, so that makes it go stars. And then this icon here that makes it visible. Oh, I also changed this as well. So I looked up, where am I here? In the last one there, there's my button. Yeah, I use drawable lock, so I should have really showed you here. If you go into the project, in the drawables, I have lock and person. They're the two things I use. And I'm in the last one here. And then I'm using the icon password toggle. So that's giving me this guy here, which will toggle whether I show the text or not show the text. And there's my lock icon. Required is there, 11 out of 20. Everything else is the same. And I have my max length set to 20, so it won't go over it. Now, there's other stuff you can do as well. You can look into it. So